For member statements today, we will hear from the honourable members for the districts of Topsail-Paradise, Exploits, Burin-Grand, Virginia Waters-Pleasantville. The honourable member for Topsail-Paradise.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise today and I wish to recognize Mr. Len Sims for his contributions to Newfoundland and Labrador. The most recent was the prestigious 2017 Senior of Distinction Award presented on October the 3rd. Over his career, Len has a list of accolades and accomplishments that include being president of the Kinsman Club of Grand Falls, Windsor, deputy governor of Kinsman, Newfoundland and Labrador, governor of Kinsman, Atlantic Provinces, and the first Newfoundland Kinsman to be elected national president of Kinsman Clubs of Canada. Len is also involved with a number of other charitable organizations, which include the Lions Max Sims Memorial Camp, chair of the Children's Wish Foundation Advisory Board, member of Stella Circle Governance Board. He was also a well-known political figure in our province, Mr. Speaker, having served as MHA for Grand Falls, Windsor, Speaker of this Honourable House, a member of Cabinet, Leader of the Official Opposition, and most recently, Mr. Sims served as the CEO of Newfoundland and Labrador Housing Corporation, and as an affordable housing advocate, he received the National Canadian Mortgage and Housing Corporation Award for outstanding contributions in advancing affordable housing solutions. Mr. Speaker, I ask you and all members of this Honourable House to join me in congratulating Len Sims for all of his contributions to Newfoundland and Labrador. Thank you.
The honourable member for Exploits.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise today in this honourable House to congratulate the Living Faith Pentecostal Church of Point Bay on their significant milestone celebration of 90 years. The church found its origin in special meetings called by Eli Burton and William Gillette on July 1, 1927. Erman Jones gave leadership to the fledgling assembly until the reins were handed over to the first official pastor, Pastor Thomas Mitchell. The congregation held its celebration of 90 years of bringing Christ's teachings as well as earthly and spiritual support and hope to all who would hear on November 5, 2017. I ask all honourable members to join with me in congratulating the Living Faith Pentecostal Church for their 90-year presence in the community. Thank you, sir.
The honourable member for Burin-Grand.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, Lee Masters of Winterland drives to Christ the King School almost every day to carry out his duties as school principal. I said almost every day because on October 10th, he left his car home, Mr. Speaker, and walked the 50-plus kilometres to his school in Rushoon.
Hear, hear.
October 10th was World Mental Health Day, and Mr. Masters felt this would be his way of bringing awareness to the issue of mental health. In his view, physical and mental health go hand in hand, Mr. Speaker. The students and staff from Christ the King School joined Mr. Masters for the last kilometre of a trek that started at 3:30 a.m. Mr. Speaker, as my colleague, the Minister of Education and Early Childhood Development, can attest after meeting with Mr. Masters, his enthusiasm is infectious and is quite willing to think outside the box on ideas to better his school or help his students grow. Mr. Speaker, I ask all members to join me in saluting Lee Masters on this initiative.
Absolutely. He
is certainly an educator who doesn't mind stepping up to teach by example. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Virginia Waters-Pleasantville.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise in this honourable House to recognise Ms. Joan Crosby Parker. Ms. Crosby Parker was the first president of the St. Clair's Mercy Hospital Auxiliary in 1967 and remains an active member in the community. The auxiliary's main source of fundraising is through the hospital's gift shop, which operated completely by volunteers from the auxiliary. Recently, the Honourable Frank Fagan, Lieutenant Governor of Newfoundland and Labrador, held a reception honouring the auxiliary on their 50th anniversary, and an address was given by Ms. Parker Crosby, reminiscing about the group's humble beginnings. The first gift shop was operated by hosting a shower where individuals donated goods to be sold. The women knit and sewed items to be sold along with making fudge, which was a big hit. Ms. Crosby Parker is quick to note that she could not have been successful without the support of others volunteering, and the nuns at St. Clair's. Along with being a founding president of the auxiliary, Joan is a loving mother to her 4 children, Alex, Robert, Tim, and Cynthia, and a doting grandmother to her 8 grandchildren. Joan is an example of the type of woman you want to know, always willing to put forward before herself, and an ever positive presence. Please join me in thanking Joan Crosby Parker and the St. Clair's Hospital Auxiliary for their dedication. Thank you.